Acceptance is one of the most difficult things to accomplish. Acceptance is not something that's easy, no matter what it is in life, right? Whether it's acceptance of a loved one that you've lost through health issues, through death, through family estrangement, right? Losing someone in some capacity is really difficult to accept. There's also difficulty in accepting the position that we are in our lives, right? There are some people that are homeless. There are some people that have a lot of drama in their families, a lot of triangulation manipulation. There are people who have lost their job. They've been laid off, they've been fired, they've been moved around. Change is just so difficult, and to accept that change is one of the most difficult things I think we as humans have to deal with. Let's talk about acceptance. We talked about it a couple days ago on a live chat, but in today's video, I want to highlight a couple of things for you to think about. But before we jump in case you're new, let me introduce myself. My name is Tamara. I'm internationally and I'm board certified in trauma therapy. I'm licensed in mental health. I specialize in treating children, teens, and families, as well as adults who are dealing with trauma right in my private practice. Let's jump in. You know, life has a lot of paradoxes, and one of the most important parts of my job as a psychotherapist, as an educator, as a teacher, you know, the most difficult part of all of that for me is really explaining the paradoxes of life and sometimes not having the answers like I want them. I too struggle with acceptance. Acceptance is really hard for me sometimes. Now, am I really good at shifting and changing lanes in my life when I need to? Yes. Am I a hard worker? Yes. Do I fight for those I love and I care about and even fight for myself? Yes. But what is the most difficult part of all of that for me is accepting the position that I am in at the time. I'm sure this has happened to you as well, right? How do you accept that your parents are unstable? How do you accept, you know, that your family members are evil and mean and cruel and manipulative? How do you accept that you've just been fired from your job or laid off? How do you accept the fact that you lost a loved one that meant so much to you? The question mark gets bigger and bigger as you continue to think about different life scenarios, right? And this position of not being able to accept where you are, what you have, what's been given to you, is often what causes people to lose their religion, to walk away from God or blame God or be angry with God, or completely just give up and unfortunately take their own life. It's a difficult thing. Now, let me highlight a couple of things that could get in the way of your acceptance of having a family that's toxic, that's, you know, not very kind to you. Maybe there's some unresolved trauma. You know, maybe there's some difficulties in other areas of your family that you just can't seem to wrap your mind around, right? Maybe there's continual abuse. Maybe there's traumatic bonding. Maybe there's codependency. Maybe there's sexual abuse, right? Whatever the case, let me mention a few things that you want to keep in mind that could be happening to you and making it really difficult for you to accept who your family and unfortunately even your parent is. Let's start with the whole idea that accepting life's paradoxes is the most difficult thing, right? So a paradox in life from an existential or spiritual direction or perspective could mean this, that I know that there is death and I know that there is life. I can't accept that I've lost this person in my world. It's not something that's easy for me to accept, even though I know that we are all going to die one day. Not having the answers to paradoxes, to life's paradoxes, can often kind of spin you and cause you to feel confused. Let's also talk about what I call existential discomfort. Existential discomfort is basically this, that I'm going through the discomfort of having to accept something I don't want to accept. I'm going through the discomfort of having to accept something I don't want to accept, something that doesn't make sense, something that hurts my heart, right? Something that confuses my mind. And that could be having a parent that's a narcissist, having a parent that's selfish and jealous of you, having a parent who is just emotionally and psychologically manipulative and doesn't seem to love you, doesn't seem to care about you. It could also be that you come from a family who's very traumatizing, right? They talk to you however they want to talk to you. They treat you like dirt. They misuse you. They manipulate you. They use you, right? And sometimes they might even minimize your need for love, support, care, and help. So all of those things can cause what I call existential discomfort. Now, there's also another existential term. It's called existential anxiety. The whole idea behind existential anxiety is that you are anxious about the things that just don't make sense to you. You're anxious about the things that you don't have control over, right? I don't have the answers to death or life, but you have anxiety over not knowing. I know my mother or my father is a narcissist. They've not only manipulated me, lied to me, but they have also hurt me in many, many ways. And yet I cannot understand why I was born into a family like this. I know that my father's a psychopath. I know that he's harmful for me. He makes me feel low. He makes me feel like I'm not worthy. He hurts me. He creates depression. He creates anxiety. And yet I still love him, right? Traumatic bonding. That's an example of traumatic bonding and sometimes even codependency, right? This family member hurts me and yet I still really love them and I take it, right? That can cause existential anxiety. It's this awareness of the things that you have no control over, and yet you have anxiety because you don't have control over them. Humans also experience what's called change resistance. Now, there's two forms of change resistance. One is individual, which means that you're having a hard time shifting positions in your life, right? Let's say, for example, your mother's a narcissist and she has some dark empath traits. If you want to learn more about dark empaths, check out my video right here. And you might want to check this out right here as well at the end of this video to learn more about that. But let's say your mother has, some traits of dark empaths, and she's narcissistic, she has killed animals, and she set fires, so she's got some psychopathy. She also seems to get some kind of desire out of harming other people, Machiavellianism, right? Here's the word right here, I know it's huge, right? So let's say she has all of this, okay? Your change resistance may be this. I can't walk away from my mom because that means, or my father, whoever this is, because that means I'm going to have to shift positions in my life and I'm going to have to accept where we're going to be relationally, where I'm going to probably live. I'm going to have to deal with other family members who want me to get back involved with my unstable parent, right? I'm going to be guilt tripped. I'm going to be looked down upon as the troublemaker of the family. I'm going to be labeled the manipulator, the triangulator, the cruel one, the cold one, right? So you're going to have to shift positions, and you may find that a little bit difficult. Now, there's also what we call systemic change resistance, meaning that you can't deal with the shift or the change that has happened within the system. Let's say that system is the family system. Who wants to be in a family where there's a bunch of shifts and transitions and changes that you have to constantly get used to? Change resistance at the system level may simply be, I don't want to walk away from my family because I know that everybody's going to stop talking to each other. The family's going to fall apart. We're going to be in arguments. Something bad is going to happen if I leave that family system. And let's also not forget about something that's known as cause and effect, right? So there's some confusion maybe over cause and effect. Why did I have to be born to a mother like this, right? What does that mean for my life? Cause and effect. You may also walk away from your family and become estranged and then somehow feel that you're being punished, right? By God, by other people, by society's beliefs about you for leaving your family in the first place. So let's say, for example, you're leaving your jealous sister, right? Or your jealous brother. And you said, you know what? I want nothing else to do with you. You decided to go to a different city, go to a different state and move away, block numbers, get your number changed, get your identity shifted around, right? Nobody has your home address. The list goes on. You're feeling content in your life. But all of a sudden, there's an earthquake or some kind of terrible storm and you lose your home. Now you're homeless. Your car has been damaged. You have little money to get a hotel room, right? You don't know where you're going to sleep tomorrow night, and you don't know if you're going to have anywhere to bathe and get dressed for work in the morning. Cause and effect. You left your family, and maybe the effect of that you start to believe is your punishment or some kind of, retribution for something that you did. Here are some things that I want you to think about on your quest to kind of find some internal peace and hopefully get closer to acceptance. You want to keep in mind, especially if you're walking away from a very unhealthy family, that there is what we call personal power. Now, existential psychotherapy and existential philosophy says this, that we all have personal power. That personal power basically says this, that I can choose my actions, which therefore can help me make some changes and shifts in my life. The other thing is personal identity. Who am I, right? Not who my family is. Who am I? Not what society thinks I am. Who am I? My principles, how I think, my needs, my wants, my desires, the people I want around me. Personal identity. What is that for me? Personal freedom is another one that's really important, right? We all have a certain level of freedom to choose who we want in our lives, to walk away from family that's unhealthy, to build ourselves up to become healthier individuals, right? We all have that personal freedom. Taking personal identity, taking personal power, also taking personal freedom and dominating that within our lives and saying, this is what I want to be and this is what I'm going to be, as long as I have the motivation to keep trying, as long as I keep praying, as long as I rely on my faith, as long as I have people who love me and to support me, right? Whatever that may be, you take control over that, and then you move forward in a healthy and positive way. When you're taking control of your life in the way that I'm encouraging you to do it in this video, you also want to be able to weigh different perspectives, weigh the pros and the cons, right? Do what we call a cost-benefit analysis. A cost-benefit analysis. You want to be able to weigh, is this lucrative or not? If you want to learn a little bit more about post-traumatic growth, go ahead and check this video out right here. I'm going to go ahead and post it above in this card so that you can click on it at the end of this video. Thank you so much for being with me today, guys. I will see you in the next video. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around, and that bell button so you know every time I post a video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.